So I've been working on trading algorithms for about a year and a half now, and it took me forever to get my first one up and running because there was no reliable information online. So the other day I went back on YouTube to see if there was anything worth a damn, and there is nothing still except a bunch of gurus selling you a bunch of junk. And so I said, fuck it, I'm just going to make my own class or my own little videos on how to actually build a trading algorithm, like straight up from scratch. Like, this is a brand new virtual machine here. There is nothing on it. Like, this is as fresh as it can get. And I'm going to show you how to build a trading algorithm from nothing, with no skills, no plan, no nothing. We are straight up winging this. But of course, it's going to be like a guided winging session. So I guess let's get started. So first, I'm going to show you kind of what I'm working with. And actually, I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about, right? So first, let me bookmark this. If you want to watch YouTube with no ads and stuff, this is a great website, invidious.io. You just go over here, use Invidious, and then you choose one of these public instances. I always go with the top one here, and then you pretty much type whatever you want, right? So how to make a trading algorithm, and then get ready for all the trash, right? Make millions, forget Python. Yeah, that's some BS. You need Python to make a trading algorithm, right? Full algorithmic trading course. There's no way that there's one course that can teach you how to do this. And if I click on any video, let's see what this guy's talking about, or gal, or robot, or whatever, because nowadays we don't know what is going on.
Welcome back to the third video of this.
Yeah, so it's basically just entertainment, right? So anyway, this is what I'm talking about, right? There's really nothing out here that is really showing you how to make an algorithm. How do I know? Because I tried to look a long time ago.
The Lean engine uses streaming technology that allows you to access data from the past or present. This makes life.
And so anyway, let's go ahead and first let's start whiteboarding what we're gonna do, right? Because this is a very complicated topic that, I mean, if you don't know where to start, it's brutal, like straight up brutal to even try to figure this out, right? So we're just gonna try to whiteboard it, and then we'll get started, right? So what am I actually gonna be building today? Like I said, I already have one algorithm up and running. It's a very simple algorithm. I'm working on a second algorithm, which is a lot more complicated, involving options, right? And soon after I finish this one, I already have the idea for the next algorithm that I'm going to be working on, which is 0 days to expiration option trading. So that one is going to be when hopefully I start to make a lot of money. So anyway, trading algorithm, I'll just say trading algorithm, right? So basically, what is it really, right? So at the end of the day, there's you, right? And you interface with some computer, which interfaces with like a bunch of code on the internet somewhere, right? And then that comes back to your computer, and then that comes back to you, and then you make the decisions, right? You decide, like, what next? What am I doing? How am I reacting to this thing, right? To this stock that's going up or down here. Now, why do we want to do this? Because we want to eliminate the self out of the equation here. So basically, we need to eliminate ourselves so that it's just some program that we wrote, right? Interfacing with the computer, which then interfaces with the internet, the cloud, APIs, all that stuff. So that's really all we're building, right? We are building a set of instructions, and in order to do that, we have to start in the simplest way possible, which is, I mean, take a guess, right? What would the simplest possible thing that you could possibly build that would get you to building an algorithm? And that's basically buying a stock through code, right? So we're going to write some code. And by we, I mean AI, right? I'm going to show you how I do that. AI, because I'm not a programmer. I am learning how to program because you have to learn. Like, there's so much you have to learn if you really want to do this. But to start this off, right, because we want to build up to the actual trading algorithm in the future, we are just going to build a very simple program that goes out to some broker, and then the broker goes and buys we're gonna put an order in for SPY, right? Like buy 1 share of SPY. So this is our goal. And I don't know how many videos this is gonna be, or if I'm gonna just, boss level make it all in like 1 20-minute video, which I highly doubt. Anyway, because I'm winging it. So we're buying 1 share of SPY with Python code, right? That's the goal for today, right? Because if we can do this, if we can create some code and figure out how to connect it to a broker, which I have a broker that I like to use, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then this broker takes our instructions and goes back or goes and buys 1 share of SPY on a paper account, paper money. And then we see the update right there, right? Then we query from our code once again, like what positions do we have? And then boom, it just says 1 SPY. Like technically that is an algorithm, right? Because you instructed a computer or you told the computer, hey, go follow this set of instructions and go talk to the broker, and then have the broker buy 1 share of SPY. And then I'm going to check, right? Tell me how many shares I have of SPY. So anyway, this is the absolute, I don't think you can make this any more simpler. So that's what we're going to get started with. And by the way, if you learn anything or you want to follow the series or whatever, just subscribe, because I'm going to be making more and more complex videos as we go. I mean, I can probably rant for hours and hours and hours about all the stuff that you need to know to make your algorithm. So today, let's just do this. I'm going to put my board away here and let's get started. So the first thing that we have to do is we're just going to go and use AI, right? So, well, actually, you know what? No, remember I said I'm winging it, because I already know what to do roughly. And if we go to AI, well, I'll just show you, right? I'll just show you what AI looks like. And by the way, if you want to use like free AI without being tracked super hard, you can use DuckDuckGo's AI, duck.ai, or you can look up something called Lumo AI, and you can check these guys out. So either lumo.proton.me or DuckDuckGo. I like Lumo because it's a little better. But anyway, let's just say, right, because again, I'm just trying to show you how crappy the systems out. Like there's nothing out there that'll teach you how to build an algorithm. That's why it took me like a year and a half to build my own. So let's see. So tell me how to build a trading algorithm step by step. And it's just going to give me a bunch of BS that makes no sense. Like, yeah, no shit, I could have come up with that. Define my strategy. Okay. All right. Identify the edge. Okay. What is that? What? Asset class. Okay. Obviously. Time frame. Okay. Am I really going to get into high frequency trading? I don't even know how to buy 1 share of SPY with Python code. Right. And look, data acquisition and cleaning. Like it's so much information. And sure, some of this is actually kind of useful, right? Like the sources of data do matter. Cleaning the data matters, right? That's true. Python libraries. This right here kicked my ass for weeks. I had no idea what a Python library was, right? That's how new I was. So anyway, all this stuff, it's like, okay, what do you even do with it, right? Like this makes no sense. So anyway, we're going to skip the AI thing. I'm just going to tell you what you for sure need, right? So you're going to want VS Code. Why? Because once you get used to learning or get used to using this, it's like this is where all the magic happens. Like this is where this is going to be like your HQ headquarters, like where everything gets built and all that stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and install it. Now I am running, like I said, a virtual machine. So I'm running Linux. And the reason I'm doing a virtual machine is because, well, first of all, I don't want you to see any of my data, right? So it's a clean, like fresh machine, but also because I'm going to be building a bunch of videos and or algorithms and stuff, I want to be able to just blow away the virtual machine and start from scratch, so that whenever I'm teaching somebody or making a video on how to make the algorithm, I just start from scratch, right? Like I don't have VS Code installed. I don't have anything installed. So I have to go and get it, because it's easy to forget all of the things you have to do once you've already done it, right? And you have the program installed and all that stuff. So that's why I'm doing that. So I go in here, VS Code. Now, obviously, installation for you is going to be a little bit different. But hey, if you can't figure out how to install Visual Studio Code on Windows or Mac, just quit. Just give up. You ain't going to make it. This Linux right here is going to be the most annoying one, and it's still pretty easy. So yeah, I'm going to leave that to you to figure it out, because you got to have some drive to go out and learn stuff, right? Like, I'm not going to baby you and step by step by step by step. Even if I was selling a course, I still wouldn't give you like how to install Visual Studio on a code, a Mac, or Windows. No, just you figure it out, right? That's so easy. So anyway, we're going to need VS Code. And once it finishes installing, I will be back. Okay, the other thing that I forgot is this is going to be our broker. So I've tried a couple brokers, and this one by far is the simplest, right? This is actually what I'm using for my real algorithm, because like it's legit, right? It's a real broker. They just happen to be really, really easy to set up. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to sign up for Trading API. And this is not sponsored or anything, right? Like, I'm literally just going to go over here. I'm going to go to fake name generator. And actually, I'm going to bookmark that. And let's just click a few times. All right, I'm going to be Francis J. Tam, right? So Francis Tam. Country of residence, yep. All right, I need to make an email, so let me go ahead and make an email. Okay, there we go. What? Email domain you provided is invalid. Okay, so it's going to be annoying. Now, obviously, you're not going to have this issue, so... Okay, holy crap. That was actually annoying. Okay, so I finally got my account created. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt to get started, because I was trying to use a burner email since I don't really care about this account. Also, you're going to need to register two-factor authentication in order to use this service. It used to be a lot easier, but it's been a while since I made my account. So first, let's talk about why we are using Alpaca, right? And it all comes down to 3 letters, API, right? Their API, which is basically a USB, like a USB port, right? Let me just draw it out real quick. So like I said, this isn't sponsored or anything. I'm only using Alpaca because in my experience, they're very easy to use, right? And like I said, it all comes down to API. It's like application programmable interface, something like that. This is not college, so you don't have to regurgitate random acronyms for no reason, right? Just know API is like a USB port, right? So this is us, right? This is our computer, and it's trying to connect to Alpaca's massive computer, right? Or basically any broker, right? Any broker is going to have an API, right? Where you connect your code to their code, right? It's like, again, like USB port, right? You plug in the USB port into the thing and you transfer data in and out. So again, the reason we're using Alpaca is because their API is very simple to use, reliable, pretty fast, and it just works, right? I tried using IBKR, right, Interactive Brokers, and holy freaking crap, that was the most, like, I thought I was going to die of a disease from the frustration that I had setting it up. And at the end of the day, when I finally got it set up, there were way too many moving parts. It was way too complicated. And honestly, for being the size of a company that it is, the fact that their API is that horrible is so sad, because they have so much money. Like, Alpaca was made probably by a few guys, and IBKR has like millions and millions, if not billions of dollars that they could use to develop a nice API, but they didn't. So anyway, like I said, I can rant about stuff forever. So basically, API is just a USB port, right? Alpaca's USB port is a very nice USB port. It's a very easy to use USB port, and that's why we're using it. So let me get rid of the whiteboard, and let's go back to what we were working on. Let's see if Visual Studio has installed. All right, perfect. I am keeping my screen kind of small so that it's relatively easy to use. Let's just go ahead and skip this. Cool. So let me just make a new folder. So this looks like some alien program, but I promise you this is something you want to learn how to use, and you might as well just start using it. Like it just, as you get used to working with it, it's very simple, straightforward for the basics, right? Like obviously it can get really complicated real fast, but for the basic stuff and specifically for building with the agent, right? This is going to be a really useful thing. Now, we'll talk about that later if it matters. I don't know. Let me see if this thing even talks to me for free. Okay, yeah, I guess I have to have a GitHub account. So, yeah. Anyway, let me make a folder. So you have to have a folder, right? It's called like a workspace or whatever. So let's just make a folder. So I'll say file and I'll just say open folder, right? I made this share here. So I'll make a new folder called 1SPY, right? Because that's kind of like the goal, right? One share of SPY. Okay, and then yes, I trust the authors. Why? Because the author is me. So if I don't trust myself, then we got way bigger issues than what we're working with here. So I'm just gonna call this spy.py, right? So there you go. I just went over here and I said new file. I'm probably not gonna be zooming in, so just kind of pay attention, right? Go over here to new file. You could probably even go to file, new file. Let's see, spy2.py. Oh yeah, and then you just save it right there and then it pops up. Okay. So yeah, you can do that too. Anyway, why do we have to call it .py? Because we're going to be using Python. So you know how Excel has like Microsoft Word is like .docx, or PowerPoint is like .ppt, or Excel is like .csv. Well, when you have a Python file, holy crap, it's .py. So you can name it whatever you want, right? You can name it whatever the F you want. It just has to have .py. So this we're gonna be starting to code and doing all our crazy stuff, but by we I mean AI. So now down here it says, do you want to install? Let me see if I can move this. Nope. Do you want to install? Because my head's in the way. The recommendation or recommended Python extension? Yes, because it makes it easier to see. So look, it did it for you, right? Boom, easy. Okay, so while that's cooking, let's go back over here. And now here we're gonna need some information, right? And I am skipping a lot of stuff, but I'm giving you like the concentrate, right? Like if you're making Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I'm giving you the straight syrup and you're gonna add water to it later. Or I can add water to it later for you. But anyway, we're going to come down here later and we're going to need these keys. Now you can go ahead and copy these if you want, because this is a burner account. And by the time you see this video, these keys won't even work anyway. So later, once we have some code, we're going to come back here and we're going to need the key and the secret in order to connect, right? So because this USB port requires like a username and password to connect to. So that's what the keys are. So this is where we finally get started right now. Again, to get to the point where we got in like 10 minutes took me months of understanding and stuff. So again, you're getting the absolute simplest possible explanation that I can communicate with these mortal words that we create, right? With the muscles in our throat, because the amount of knowledge, it just takes time. So anyway, we're going to come back here to this useless message and we're just going to start a new chat. Nope, continue. All right, now here's what we're going to say. And this is where you are going to have some leeway. I might put the code up later just in case, but you should still play around with it, because telling AI what to do is going to be a skill of its own that you have to develop if you want to do this, right? So anyway, I'll probably put the code up somewhere. I'll make like a real crappy website and just throw the code up, and then you can just copy and paste it and then like plug in your keys and then watch it work later on or something. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to tell it, I'm building a trading algorithm. Step 1 is to buy 1 share of SPY. I want to keep it as simple as possible. I'm using Alpaca Paper Trading as my broker and Python as the language in Visual Studio, or I'll just say VS Code. So go research. Alpaca's API and make some code that will buy 1 share of SPY. And then query Alpaca's API to give me a list of my current positions after it buys the share. So again, even telling the AI what I just told it, you have to know what the hell you're talking about, right? You can't, like, no AI is ever going to give you what you need. Now, okay, here's the thing. It can give you what you need, right? Which is what it's going to, here, I'm just going to hit enter. It can give you what you need, but you have to know what you need exactly. Otherwise, it just gives you generic BS that is absolute trash. And so here we go, right? It's spitting out the code. And just by looking at it, look, you have paper API key, your paper secret key, right? I'll talk about the base URL here in a second. And then here it starts with the functions and all of that stuff, right? Like, so it's going, it's doing pretty good. And then it tells me I have to install the SDK. That's not quite true. Get your API keys. Yep. There we go. And then I basically run the script, right? So it's that simple, right? But again, it takes forever. And like, nobody out there is, at least from what I've seen, nobody's videos out there are actually teaching you any of this stuff. So, all right, let's go to our Python file. I'm going to change the name of my Python file. By the way, if you got taken out of, like, you went to over here and then there's like some other tab or whatever, and you get lost, always, you can just go back to the little files up here. It's called the Explorer, right under the top right or top left, I guess. And then you click here, and then you're back into all your files. I'm going to rename this so it's a simple name. So just spy1 or 1 spy.py. Cool. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to paste my code. All right. This is what AI gave me. Now, here's the thing. It's a really good idea to make other files that are kind of like a source of truth. Again, this is one of those things, like, it might not make sense to you now, but trust me, you want to just keep, let's say record.md. So what am I making here, right? Again, the name, I just called it record because it's going to be my record of what I've done, like the prompts and stuff that it gave me. MD is Markdown. So it's like another kind of like a language, but it just helps you organize text to make it real pretty and stuff. So we're going to make a Markdown file. I'm going to go back and tell AI here. So make me a Markdown file summarizing what you just did for me. And now it's going to spit it out. And then I'm basically going to wait for it to finish. And I'll tell you about this here in a second, why I'm doing this. Okay, so now it's just yapping down there. So, let me go back and find my Markdown file. Here we go. Okay, cool. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and boom, I'm just going to paste it in here. Cool. Now, look at that. It tells you exactly what you just did. So we're using Python, we're using Broker. So anyway, the reason that we're doing this is because sometimes if you're using the free version of the AI models, you'll run out of your tokens or whatever, and then you're like, oh no, I forgot what I asked it, or we were like right in the middle of working on something, and then my free tokens ran out, and now I don't have any idea where I was or how to even word what we were working on, and then you're screwed. So basically, you want to take it and like just start writing some of this stuff down that it gave you, so that you can just have somewhat of a record. Right. So anyway, so here's what it just gave us. And now we're pretty much going to go and get our key and our secret. So this is where it comes in, right? So Alpaca API key is, I mean, so again, the reason we use Alpaca is because for Alpaca, all you have to do is make a line that says Alpaca API key equals, and then you put your key in here. And then same thing for the secret. And then the base URL, we have to change. I will show you what that looks like here in a second. So let's go back to Alpaca, right? And here we have the endpoint. So this is the base URL. Again, it took a lot of knowledge to get to that point. That's going to be the recurring theme here. I'm not going to be able to explain everything to a super deep level. And so you might not understand it fully, but that's okay, because as long as you follow the steps, once you make it to the end, you'll have a really rough idea of how this whole thing works. And as soon as you make one work, that is like the biggest hurdle you can overcome. And then it's all downhill from there. So I need this endpoint. So I'm going to go back. I copied it, and I'm just going to put it right here. I forget if the quotes matter or not, but I'm just going to do that, and then save. Save as much as possible, because you just never know what's going to happen. So now I need my key. So I'm going to get my key and put it in there, right? Key and secret key. So the difference here is API key versus secret key. It's like username and password, right? So this is my password right here. Copy that over. I'm just double clicking, by the way. So cool trick. If you single click, it just puts your cursor in one place. If you double click, it selects the word. If you triple click, it selects the entire line. So that's going to be a really useful thing for you moving forward if you actually do this on your own, right? Okay, so we have our username, we have our password, and we have where it's going to log in, right? What the URL is, right? Like, what good is a username and password if you don't know where to put it in, right? So that's basically what we're telling the code. It's like, hey, you idiot, here's the password, here's the username, and here is where you go and put it in. Because the computer doesn't know a damn thing unless you tell it. So you have to tell it, right? Now, we have to run the script, but here's the issue, and I think it's time for the whiteboard again, so let me get that. All right. Let's go down this way. And so I'm going to try to, once again, as simple as possible, even though this shit is so complicated. But basically what we're doing is we have our computer right here, right? So this is you, me, and anybody else that's trying to do this. We are connecting to the computer, and the computer is connected to the internet, right? And our code is attached to our computer, right? So this is our .py file, okay? And this is the internet over here. So the internet then goes and finds Alpaca somewhere, right? The website, the API, right? So I'll just say Alpaca API somewhere in the internet. You don't have to worry about how it gets there or whatever. But what matters is, how are we going to get Python code from our computer through the internet and into Alpaca's API, which I wrote AIP. So sorry about that. So how are we going to do it? All right. That's the next problem that we're up against. And basically what it comes down to is you have to download some stuff from Alpaca over to your computer. So I'm just going to make like a bigger computer right here. And I'm going to just kind of zoom in. So now Alpaca's like package, we'll call it, right? There's a technical word for it, but I don't remember it. And honestly, it doesn't even matter. So we're just going to say we're downloading Alpaca's package, right? We're downloading the package and we're installing it on the hard drive. This whole thing is the hard drive, okay? And now we have our code, our Python file, and we have all the software that our Python code needs in order to, because otherwise it's just a bunch of lines of like trash, like worthless trash, waste of time. But if you get this package, let me see if I can do different colors, because that'd be kind of cool. All right. This is a free whiteboard app, so I don't even know how to use it. But anyway, so this package is needed for the Python to know what to do. And in order for that to even work, we also need something that's called a virtual environment. So that's basically what we're going to be creating here in a minute. And virtual environment, it's like some other kind of like magical little isolated area where the Python and the package and like a bunch of other magic stuff happens. And you're basically able to, now this becomes like a real deal. Like, okay, now we got something working here. Let's go back through the computer and let's go to the internet, because now we know where we're going, and let's get to API, right? To the API, because now we know what to do, because we can actually understand the instructions that were over here in the Python code. So that's what we're going to do. And hopefully you understood, but you probably are so confused, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the terminal, which I know is control and then the little squiggly line under the escape key. But I don't know. Let me see. How do you do? Oh, right here. Yeah. So right here, terminal, new terminal. Boom. That's how you do that if you don't know how to do that. So anyway, I forgot how to do this, so I'm going to go ask AI. But before I even do that, let me just try to run the code and see what happens, because why not, right? Let's just see what happens. And we got an error, right? So no module named Alpaca Trade API, right? That's that package that we need to install before, because right now it doesn't know what to do with this code. So let's go ahead and go back to AI and be like, hey, mother trucker, how do I get the code working with Alpaca in VS Code? I think I need a VNV, a virtual environment. And then it's going to say, why, yes, you do. Here's how you do that. Oh, look at that. You're absolutely right. Using a virtual environment is the best practice for keeping your project dependencies isolated. What does that mean? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. So here we go. We're going to get started. And let me see if I can split these screens. It's going to be super tiny, but you'll be all right. Holy crap. Okay, let me get rid of that because I don't need that and make this tiny little bit smaller. Okay, so run this command in the terminal. We already have the terminal open, so we're going to say python venv dot venv. What the command means and all that, don't worry about that. Just do it. Okay, so I don't even have Python installed. So, okay, see, this is exactly why I started a brand new virtual machine, because I would have totally forgotten that you need to install Python on your computer, and I would have just been like, okay, just make a virtual environment, and it would have gone through, and you would have been stuck at home pulling your hair out because you don't know what all this text means. So anyway, it just means, because it says Python not found. So we need to install Python. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. Linux, Ubuntu, Python install. It's going to be a little weird to install it on here, but we're going to do it real quick. And just like that, we have Python. That's why I love Linux. But now let's go over here. And I might have to restart the program. Okay, yeah, let me restart the program. All right, and you can just press the up key right here, and it'll give you the command you used previously. Okay, so it's still, I forgot how to fix this problem. Let me think for a second. Let me check if it actually installed. So, okay, yeah, it did not install. So, wait a minute. Did I not run the command success like properly or something? Okay, let me do this real quick. So I got to update. And now we're installing it. Okay, so done. Python 3 is already the newest. Okay, Python 3, because I have Python 3. Okay, so, all right, so if you get the problem where you're trying to use the terminal, or basically you're saying Python, blah, 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 blah. Maybe if you have a certain version of Python, you have to put like the number in front of it, so Python 3. So let's go ahead and do the same thing, except we're going to put a 3 right at the end, and magic. It was not created successfully because ensure PIP is not available. Okay. Okay, so it says I might need to use the super sudo command, so let me try that. All right. Okay, so I have to recreate my virtual environment because there's some issue. Okay, what? All right. This is perfect though, right? Because we're all learning. So let me think for a second. It's been so long since I did this. Oh, by the way, once you're doing real algorithms and you're using the cloud to store all your code, all this crap goes away, right? So it's like this is just suffering for part of the learning curve. Once you're using the cloud, it's super easy, and it's not. But to be able to understand how the cloud works, that's a whole nother monstrosity of a task. So okay, so I'm just gonna copy this error and I'm gonna feed it to AI, and let's see what happens. I'll say got an error, and then I'll just paste the error. Okay, so it's telling me to install some more junk. So just do that and see what happens. Again, it's not going to be as complicated for you guys on Windows or Mac. So I guess it's good that it's complicated for me, but it's really not that bad at the end of the day. So, all right, so I installed that. So let's, there we go. And it looks like it's working now because it's kind of stuck. All right, cool. So now we're working. Okay, so now we have our virtual environment. You can't really tell because nothing really changed. You just see this little blue light here. So it did something, right? But we have our virtual environment. And you can check because if you go to the folder where you opened the thing, usually, let's see, why is it not here? There usually will be like a VENV thing saying that you have a virtual environment. So let's see. I have to activate it. That's right. It's like you have to turn the virtual environment on before it'll work. Okay, so I need this other command. Okay, cool. Okay, now we're really getting somewhere here. So now if you see here, it says .venv. And then now if I go to my folder, I should see it in here. What? Okay, let's see. There we go. I had to show my hidden files. So there's the virtual environment, right? So let's go back to my drawing. And now we have the virtual environment, right? So we have our little thing here, but we still need the package, right? We still need to get this package because we have our Python code, right? So that's checked off. And we have our virtual environment, which is checked off, right? And now we just need to download the Alpaca API. So let me go back to, well, let me just tell the AI, okay, I got my VNV, my virtual environment is running, how to install Alpaca API package so I can run my code. Okay, so now we're going to do this pip install thing. And this isn't necessarily how it's going to work for your computer. It just depends, right? But either way, if you ask the AI, now if it's telling you some stuff and it doesn't make sense, just tell it what operating system you're on, right? Like, are you on Windows? Are you on Mac? Are you like on an Xbox? Like, what are you using, right? Because this is also why I say I can't explain everything because there's like an infinite number of variables. Like, are you trying to do this on your phone? Because if you're trying to do this on your phone, good luck, right? So anyway, here we go, right? So now you see all these lines of random stuff. This is the package, right? We are finally downloading the package. This is like a translator that's going to be the middleman between our code here that's sitting in VS Code and the API, right? So it's going to have all the instructions and like all the whatever, and it's going to make it work. So once this is good to go, you'll see we're back to here. And at this point, I think I can just maximize this and let's try to run my code and see what happens. Okay, so something happened. Let's go back to Alpaca and let's see if anything showed up. So we don't have any positions or anything because we haven't bought anything because the market's closed. But here's where we would see our order. So we don't have anything here. So nothing has happened, right? So that means that something went wrong because even though the markets are closed, we would see like asset, stock, SPY, whatever, like how many you want, the price, all that. But we don't see anything. And oh, here we go. Okay, so error placing order, not found. Okay, failed to initialize the API. Check your credentials. Okay, so we need to go back to the AI and be like, hey, where do I input the correct URL? Because see, it added some logging as well here. So check your credentials. Maybe I did something wrong. Let's go back and check. Okay, so here's the other thing. Once you use the keys, you can't really get them, or at least I haven't found a way to get them again. So you have to just regenerate. So generate new keys, and we're going to just go back in here and we're going to paste them. So here, I'm just going to say record, right? And actually I'll make a new file. Now, typically you don't want to do this, but I'm just going to say keys.md, right? So I'm just going to put that there. But don't do that. Like if it's real, because you're gonna cry, right? This is just because we're doing a demo. So secret and key, CLE. There you go. Okay, cool. All right, so the key's probably the same thing. So let's go back here and try putting that in there. Okay, so we got a new key and secret. Let's go back to here and we got a new secret. All right, and let's make sure that the base URL is correct. So paper API alpaca markets v2. Paper API alpaca markets v2. So that's right. But I will just try that again, just in case something happened. So, okay, yeah, it's the same thing. So let me double check. So I'm just saying, is this the actual base URL? And then it's probably going to say yes. Yep, correct. All right. Small detail to keep in mind. If you are using the older library, usually pass the base without the /v2. Okay, so see, that's something that I never even would have thought about. So let's try that real quick. Because again, the issue, so like it's working, right? Because we got this error here. It just failed to initialize, check your credentials. So we got some error. So it went out and tried to log in, but it didn't log in. So I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to click the button right here and let's run it. Oh, look at that. Order says submitted successfully. And it says no positions found, but that's because the markets are closed right now. So let's go back to Alpaca. And we should have an order here now. Boom, there it is. Look at that. And just like that, you have basically built a trading algorithm. Except it's manual because, oh wait, actually, hold on. I think okay, yeah, no positions yet, just orders. So our order is in, right? The order got accepted. We're buying 1 share of SPY. The order type is a market order type, which means it just goes in whatever price, like just give it to me, right? Like any price I will buy. And then we want to buy 1. But again, because the markets are closed, we can't actually buy it, but the order is in there. So technically, if I leave this here, when the markets open again, it'll buy immediately because it's just like, I have on this paper trading account 100 grand, right? And by the way, you can like go and make a new paper account and stuff, and put in however much money you want. So I think you can only do up to like 3 or something though. But anyway, look, we did it, right? So we have 100 grand in the account and I put an order in here saying at whatever price, as soon as you can, get me 1 share of SPY. And that's what's going to happen, except it's going to expire here. So you could change the expiration date if you really want to. The API, it's like this massive USB port with a bunch of instructions and configurations and customizations. Like you can do so much stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we did what we did. Hopefully the whiteboarding helped. It's not like the best drawing, but hey, hopefully it helped. If you have questions or any ideas or anything, leave me a comment. If you want to subscribe to follow the journey, because I'm going to be building more and more complex stuff as we go, right? Like how do we put it in the cloud? How do we actually set it to, like, let's say that you want an alert on Discord anytime you buy a share of SPY. Okay, how do you do that? Like all these things that are basically end up like, you know, plug and play, building a full trading algorithm with alerts and guardrails and, like, you know, all kinds of safety checks and all that stuff to make sure that the trading algorithm is doing exactly what you want it to do. And if something goes wrong, you are notified or alerted right away. So anyway, as you can tell, very, very, very complicated. But again, if you got anything out of the video, you learned anything, you want to just come back or get notified when I make another video, because I'm going to be doing them just like this. I'm going to be starting from scratch every single time, and we're just going to go and get to it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.